Everything is real.
This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Mahanoy.
Well, what began as really street culture quickly became incorporated by corporate culture. That is to say, they understood, I think, something very fundamental. I mean, if you look at, I know you and Johanna and most people your generation don't really look at TV, but if you did, and I don't blame you, but if you did, you would find that almost, I would say, 60% of commercials have a rap or hip-hop or R&B soundtrack.
Yeah.
And they either use the actual music or change it, right? Because capitalism is about selling stuff. And her group says,
you have 1 minute left.
Money, power, respect. Well, when it comes to black folks, you can have money and power and still not get respect.
Exactly.
We have endless examples of black people who have enormous money and were treated like
That was perfect to open up the show and get the energy going.
Definitely.
Whoo! That was needed because it is I believe that the topic for discussion today can very easily be a heavy one. Because of the reality of what our elders are dealing with as political prisoners, prisoners of war, and politicized prisoners behind the wall. So yeah, we gotta, find the light where we can, and move forward with that. So yeah, shouts to the youngin. And I feel like there's a good amount of stuff that could be said about what can be felt from the video. His balance on the front of a boat. It's like, how many different ways can you spin that out to make it revolutionary, to make me to relate it to life? It's just yeah. So I won't go into it right now because I don't have any specific thoughts at the top of my head, but yeah. That was definitely the right video to get this conversation going because it'll help the people to, come to their own conclusions like art. You look at a painting, whatever the artwork is saying to you is up to your own interpretation.
Yeah, it's the same here. It was definitely, the balance. Whatever that move is the move, I was like,
I won't even, thankfully, that was just my hands. I won't let y'all see my feet. I got two left ones when it comes to dance. I got rhythm.
I see his name is the Reaper. The nickname is the Reaper. So,
the Reaper.
Yeah, man.
I'm feeling that name.
Yeah.
For sure. But how you doing, sis?
Yeah, we're back at it again. I'm doing like same what they say, different days, same stuff. So trying to do this thing called life and just keep the faith. What says you? It's been a month and we're back at it again. Our ATP, ANN collabo. What's been happening? This month flew.
I know all of the activity, not all bad. So let me start there. I'm here. I'm still here. So let's, I want to shout out the creator and the universe for aligning on that and allowing me to, still be here, whatever my purpose is. I'm still working on that. August. Oof. My dad had a birthday at the beginning of August on the 4th.
Mm,
Um,
happy way too.
so happy belated and shouts to the fact that he's still here. Um, I just recently returned to New York from this Black is Back Coalition conference as the for Jericho and
Mm,
the Black is Back Coalition political prisoners working group. So I was very grateful to be able to represent for that and to visit New Orleans for the first
mm,
time because of it. I, was grateful for the comrades I was able to connect with in person that I've seen already, and just other comrades that I haven't met before. Just
mm.
the amount of information I was able to take in and learn from, and it was great. It was really good, and it's a reminder that the work is ongoing. There's always going to be work to do, but it's
Always.
so. I definitely have to go back to NOLA. I didn't
You
get the
should,
full
sis.
experience. I didn't get the full experience, but yeah,
Wow.
this was in a work capacity, so my next visit is gonna have to be all visit, all tourist.
I've never been myself, but I
Right?
been the statistics.
Hello?
Yeah, man,
We
we
gotta
gotta do that.
go.
I'm down. I'm down. And you know
ATP
what, too?
visits New Orleans.
That will be a trip and a half.
Hello?
I mean, just the food for me is everything.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this restaurant Neo Creole. I don't want to get the name wrong, but they're ooh, let me not even go there because it's gonna make me want it again. Let's
Yeah.
just say it was good. It
Yeah.
was good. The food was good, and they've had some familiar faces as far as celebrities go. They had pictures all over the place. So
Nice.
it was great. It was really, 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 really good. And yeah, for what little I did get to see around the town was very nice. And
Mm,
just shouts to the folks out there. I know this year is what the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, and while no person should have to live through what they experienced, they continue to rebuild and
mm,
just strive for maintaining their culture, and just being the most wonderful example of strength and resilience,
mm,
and adjusting, what the government has done to that city
I
is reprehensible, but they keep moving
uh,
forward.
okay. Well, this is why we have to explore some of that, because it's just important to see what else is taking place and where else it's taking place. Um, but I'm glad that you went. I'm glad that you had the opportunity to be exposed in that way, but also to come back here and share the wealth. So for sure, that's what's up. And I think we can get back into our usual amazing segments of
Absolutely.
our guests. I know we have our first guest with us here. Uh, yeah, we do, right? Yes, we have Baba Ashanti
Yeah.
still
So,
in the house.
woo!
Long time political prisoner, veteran, just part of the
Woo!
BLA in the house to drop some gems and such a time where we're looking into this month, as this month is Black August, and we are having this episode theme be on political prisoners and knowing the history of Black August. So welcome, Baba Ashanti. It's so good to see you.
See
And
you too.
you,
Absolutely. I hope the
Hey.
other elders don't get jealous, but Baba Ashanti is one of my favorite.
uh-oh, uh-oh.
You know,
They
they've
can
been
be jealous. They can be jealous. It's all
hello,
right.
they can be jealous. Baba
Let him have
Ashanti
his
is
moment.
one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. So this is a huge deal for me to be able to uh finally interview Baba. I like on camera for real. So yeah, let's get into it. You so
So,
I don't want the discussion to be serious. I know we have questions and we're just forever curious about your journey. Um, but first of all, how you doing? Did we ask you that?
no.
No, you haven't asked me at all.
Let's start with
But
that. How are you doing?
actually, I'm doing okay, and I'm drinking my medicinal beverage.
Uh,
You know, that's
That's
right.
what's up.
That's right.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Okay, all right. And I had a good day. A good day. There was a sister here in Providence who's one of the Black storytellers. She invited me yesterday to come to this event she was doing to read poetry. And I'm like, man, I ain't did that in decades. So it had me digging in my boxes and stuff. And I found a few things and whatnot, and actually, got up and read few of my old poems. You talking about from the
Mhm.
70s. So
Wow.
that was really nice. It was nice to do, and then to meet and interact with the people that came was really nice.
Mm. That is
Yeah.
wonderful. I'm jealous I wasn't there. Did
Yeah,
they
yeah.
record it at all? Because I would love to see that.
They did. I'll find out. I'll find
Yeah.
out. Okay, I'll find out.
Yes, please, please, please find that out
Yeah.
because I, first of all, shouts to the sister that invited you. Uh,
Mm.
um, because I feel like that is something us as people have to continue doing intentionally as far as being outside and inviting people outside to do stuff.
Mm.
It's
Right.
very easily we get caught up in just staying online or being virtual or just
Yeah.
we've slowly crept into this space of being homebodies. And while it's okay to do that, sometimes you gotta get outside and let the air and
Mhm.
the sun, just hit your body and be social. It's like,
And
Yeah.
this was in the park too,
yes,
which was good about it too. It was in the park,
I love that.
Wow.
and so food and other things. It was in this really nice setting. And I'm like, yeah, we need to do stuff like this more. You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Not shout shouts to the whole experience. I'm grateful you got
Mm.
the chance to be out there. I'm jealous of the folks that got to hear you live and direct. Whatever. I won't hold it against them.
doing
In
poetry.
person.
Oh,
Doing
it's
poetry.
been a
Yeah.
long time.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful
Yeah.
because it's important for people to know that political prisoner or not, you all have souls, like you were our
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And just yeah, the possibilities of what could have been or what can still be
What
are still
can
important.
right on.
My bad. I
Yeah.
just went off on a tangent, sis. Please
No, no,
take the mic away
tangents
from me.
are good. It's always good. But that's great. And let's get into our first question for you. We so
Yes.
we heard or we saw that you did an amazing interview around Black August, and we'd love for you to, elaborate a bit more on that interview. Say more about Black August and what does that signify, and even signify for you, considering your, life experience? So, take it away with that first one.
Let me say first, like this Black August, I've been invited or been a part of. Right now, I think it was almost like so far it's been every week I've been a part of something dealing with Black August. So that's here in Rhode from Rhode Island to Boston, to New York when I was in New York. And so obviously, you know, Black August is growing, and that's a good feeling. One of them occasions, I mean, I did get to speak of like what it felt like inside the prison. While I mean, I'm not a California prisoner. I was a federal prisoner, but at a certain point, I was in Lompoc, California prison, which is in California. But all during them early stages in the 70s, you know, the prison movement, there's still a prison revolutionary movement, to be really clear, revolutionary movement. There's still those folks who are inspired by the the George Jackson folks. We sometimes we say the Jacksonites, you know, and what it felt like then, because I don't think any of us really believed that this Black August thing was going to take off. And I really feel like for decades it didn't. It was just those of us, our small groups, whether we was in the prisons or the small groups outside, had always been loyal supporters, would do Black August events. And you get a handful of people, you know, and you just keep doing it because you got to keep trying to raise their consciousness. And then there's long periods where it's not really a lot of growth. But I think in the last 5 years, man, there's something happening here. And it says something about staying consistent even when you feel like it's not a rapid growth happening. Is it worth it? You never know who's listening, you
Right.
know, who's getting it. And in terms of getting it, who's reaching out to try to find out what to do more. And they're finding people, you know. So all them early years in the 70s, I mean, we all heard, you know, what was going on and stayed up what was going on with the comrades in the California prisons, but also in the New York State prisons. And then with the what led to Jericho, you know, we're connecting. And I'm still seeing it today, even though it's not as well, it doesn't seem as well known. There's still a growth of revolutionaries coming within the prisons. You know, whether we're talking about the Pendleton Two, Kevin, Rashid Johnson, Kwame Beans Shakur, and all this. There's a whole bunch. I want to hear more voices of the women or and of the trans, but you know, like I'm seeing it now. Like there's all kind of growth going on in the prisons of those who are trying to build that revolutionary capacity to be involved in this liberation movement. You know, so the times that I get to share that though, I especially Black August, I the events are important. You know, all the stuff that happened during August. But I want folks to get more in terms of for the people who made those events happen, what must it have been for them on that inside level, that psychological level, that spiritual level, for them to get to that point where they certain things had to be done. That for us has become historical memory. You know, so like if you talk about a George Jackson, Jonathan Jackson, and all of them, what was it like for them to uh, begin from a place of non-consciousness, just doing whatever how the system got you doing, even a lot of social harm, but at some point you find that you're reading stuff or you have certain experience that says, man, I can't keep doing this, can't keep doing this, and then you begin to reject it. And then you see that there's others on the same path. And then you see, like, man, we should have a study group and all of that. And then you're like, we got to get out of these prisons. And then you're talking about a 17-year-old Jonathan Jackson, who I'm sure at the beginning doesn't have any clue to why his brother is doing all this time. But he loves his brother. So what must it have been for him to at some point gain that consciousness, worry his mama and papa to death, but his consciousness says, I got to do more. not just for his brother, but for all of those political prisoners to get him out. That's a hell of a thing. So for me, it's more important to get that process because then we can kind of see ourselves in it, in what we're doing, because you're constantly rejecting what this society wanted us to be, and then realizing who we have to become. Yeah, and that's a journey, man. And not everybody gets it, you know. So when we saw the news of what Jonathan did that particular day at the Marion County Courthouse, and I've said to people, because I've done a lot of study on that, he wasn't supposed to be by himself. There was others that were supposed to be with him. And when they didn't show up, he had already decided, no, this is going to go down the way
Wow.
we planned.
Wow.
17 years old.
Wow.
And you see from the photos and stuff, and even when they were taking pictures, he said, yes, take pictures, because this is a new revolutionary you see in here. This is a new movement here. Yeah, take pictures.
Wow.
Because this is not the same one that's submitted to you. This is not the same one that was just trying to get along and just, be okay. No, we at war, and we're going to build a capacity to liberate ourselves. I want people to see that part, not get so focused on the event itself, but the inner stuff, the spiritual stuff that actually led us in them historical times to take certain actions or to build movements, not so much just always the action itself, but what did it take to build a Panther movement? What did it take to build a Marcus Garvey movement? What did it take even to build the Nation of Islam movement and all these other movements that was helping us to move towards liberation? And that's a whole life change. That means you got to really change who you are. So when I do get the chance to talk about, like, Black Ops, that's the points I want to bring out. Others can bring out all of other points that they're very important, like what happened within this month. But how do we see ourselves in that? And it's not, the heroic things don't always have to be the Marion County Courthouse things. The heroic thing can be as personal as, I've been a quiet person all my life. I've never felt like I was a part. I'm going to start being more vocal. I'm going to start to develop my capacity to show myself more. I'm not going to let nobody shut me down because I'm woman, I'm this, I'm that. Because the more you do that, the more you help build our power. Because now it's in the relationships that we're creating, the culture that we're creating within our formations. So that's what I want, and that's what I want to see. This is
I
this is helping.
Yes. Yes, we'd love to promote health. And this, for me, is why I said what I said when you came on. You are one of my favorites because I feel like the way you break down stuff, the way you explain stuff, the way you answer a question, it what the youngins say, it hits different. It hits different. It hits where it's supposed to, in the heart area. It 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 connects emotionally in a way that can get lost in our focus to stay strong and brave and stuff like that. And I personally feel like, I won't speak for everyone else. I personally feel like the way you answer questions places the humanity of this experience and this lifestyle where it needs to be. So that's why I'm jacking it. You are my favorite, and I deeply appreciate how you answered that question because the context of that. I don't know who else didn't know that, but I know for certain that not only did I not know or think to consider how old he was, because that's just the norm in knowing the story behind Black Panther, the Black Panther Party, and most of its origins, and all of y'all being so young, 14, 16,
Yeah.
17,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I can't even begin to remember what I was doing.
Right.
But I damn sure wasn't fighting for no revolution.
Mm.
So I don't want to go off on a tangent, but that was a bit want to camel back off of what you were saying. I read the article where Gabriel Johnson interviewed you, and I appreciated the answer you gave about the whole fasting, or the whole the abbreviation is escaping me right now. I was trying to find it in the article, but I would encourage people to find it on the Black August edition, A Beginner's Guide to Black August, right from the Panthers Maw. Look that up and please read it all the way through. It's not a long article. It gets to the heart of um, explaining Black August nice and concisely. Um, I have one more question I want to ask you, because I think this is another question that a lot of people need to hear the answer to from someone like you. So I want to know, what does the bravery of the Panthers slash the BLA or slash lords um, openly and unabashedly upholding their Second Amendment right look like today? Ideally, that made sense. Do you want me to ask it again?
Oh yeah. I get okay, the bravery,
Yes.
and
Basically,
then you can go ahead.
basically, what does that look like today? The bravery it took y'all to do what y'all were doing. What does that look like today from your perspective?
Okay. I definitely think being young does play a big factor. I say that because I feel like our youthfulness um allowed us to face a lot of the dangers differently if than if we were older. I think that I mean we understood that there was consequences, but I think the youthful thing was like, so what? It was like a fuck it attitude. So what? And then the things that we were reading at the time too, um, maybe on two levels. It was the things we were reading uh of other people's struggles and learning the lessons for other people's struggles. But then it was always the understandings we had of those who came before us. Like when we heard stories about like the Deacons for Defense coming out of there, or we heard about Robert Williams, or when we watched the rebellions, like the rebellions of the 60s, like 1965, 1967. 1967 was the one I feel like was my entry. And my entry as a witness, someone not directly involved, but just seeing it, it meant a lot for me to see my people fighting back without fear. Because the thing I've said about Plainfield is like, them brothers and sisters got to a gun manufacturing place and they brought back M1 rifles and crates of M1s and ran the police out. And for me to be that 13, 14-year-old watching it and understand that there's a civil rights movement and everybody, respects that, but couldn't necessarily see ourselves with that kind of discipline to sit down and get spit upon, called all kind of names, water hose down the street. Like we wanted to fight. So when the groups like the Black Panther Party came, many of us was like, that's where I want to go. That's where, and even at 16, 17 years old, that's where I want to go. And then you start seeing you're learning about what the people are fighting in these other liberation movements, and they're just like us too. The death thing was just not, I think we were like, yeah, so what? You know, and let's do what we're supposed to do. And here's the Panther Party offering us a way to go, from the breakfast programs to the liberation schools to helping to organize rent strikes and always engage with the community, And then there was always that part where I forget which one of the rules: can't join no army but the Black Liberation Army. And this is like me, like me and Jihad, right? Me and Jihad, it's we read that, we saw that, we never thought that we would someday be in them ranks, but because we understood this liberation movement, it would have been an honor if at some point we were like brought into the ranks of the Black Liberation Army. And so this is still like we ain't even 20 yet, you know. Uh, but it's clear that when you got comrades who are getting killed or they're going to prison, because we definitely did, even at that point. If you speak to Jihad, you ask him about Kimu Olubala. And Kimu was of the Olubala tribe. The Olubala tribe was the Black Liberation Army, which is one of the most active units. Like one of the key persons in that tribe was the one that would, as a Panther, he would come to Plainfield and walk us through what it meant to be a Panther. So even following him at the time he's a Panther, there's a point where he's captured and he's put in the Manhattan House of Detention. He escapes from there, and at the time he escapes, it's Black Liberation Army. And then at a certain other point, they catch up with him and another comrade, and they shoot him and kill him. So we already know death is there, but we're in this struggle. We know that this happens. So there's nothing that is like, oh, I don't know if I can do this anymore. If for us it was like, oh no, we got to keep on going. Yeah. And then eventually there's points that comes in me and Jihad at different times, the Black Liberation Army. And it's an honor, But the thing I want to say about it, there is bravery, but it ain't like there ain't no fear, you know. And I want people to be very clear on, like, bravery and courage is something you have to develop. It ain't something that is just, you ain't just born with that. That comes from how you are within your circles of comrades and all the things you're learning and training for, and the actual interactions that help you to develop that. Because I'll often tell the story of Tariq, who I call my general, right? Because Tariq was someone born and raised in the streets of Brooklyn. So he know that combat zone. Then he gets drafted into the Marines and goes to Vietnam. And he'll tell you that the battles wasn't so much with the Vietnamese revolutionaries, it was with them fucking white officers and other white soldiers that they had to battle on a daily basis. But everything he learned coming back, he went right to the doors of the Black Panther Party and then right into the ranks of the Black Liberation Army. So being that we was in the same unit, did not know him, did not know some of the others, but someone through combat and me not through combat, I learned from his courage. I learned from his bravery in certain situations. Like, wow, it allowed me to make them attempts to act out that bravery, even when I was scared. But I watched him, and there was a calmness. There was a, there was a conviction. Like, oh, okay, I got it, and I learned, and I learned. So I say that because it's a process. It ain't just you got it. You learn it, you know, and because and sometimes people like, you know, there is the fear, and sometimes the fear can overwhelm you. But that's a part of the. It's just we're human. So I don't want the bravery to get to the point where like it's put in your face to such a degree, like, well, if you ain't got that to do it right at this moment, you ain't really about revolution. No, that may not even be, that underground may not be your role, but you still can learn the bravery even in going to your next door neighbor to build a relationship where you can start talking politics. you know you can maybe build a bravery for like a brother who doesn't meet all the qualifications of that tough macho brother to still be you and hold to the line, to hold to the principles, even when it's your leader. Bravery acts out in many different ways, but always to help us to build who we are on an individual basis and as a collective. And when it's the collective, that means now you're talking about power. You're talking about our power to act as a collective body. So that's why, like, I don't like for anything to just be thrown out there and assume that, yeah, we know. There's more that goes to it. Yeah.
Oh man.
Woo!
I mean, we
I had
need a
to put
part two.
myself on mute. Sorry.
Yeah, that powerful, Baba Ashanti, really powerful, and such deep nuggets in there. Um, Nuggets that we know, but sometimes we need to rehear this over and over. And I'm just so grateful that you shared that with us. And we have both of our other comrades here, and I would really um love if there's a way. Love if there's a
Okay.
way. Like, it's all good. Love if there's a way to kind of have them follow up on what you've shared. I know we had the questions laid out, but it just seems that everything that you share just requires just some thoughts, extra ideas, and just build up. And we have our great comrades in here. Corey from Holla. You guys do amazing work out there in the streets. You can just briefly, tell us a little bit about what you're doing, and we can just get right into some of the, follow-ups to what Baba Ashanti shared. And we have our dear comrade, revolutionary from behind these dungeon walls, Comrade Kwame. Lil Bean Shakur, he's on with us as always. He doesn't stop. Nothing stops him. He's in these dungeons, but we will free him as well. He's with us tonight. So I'm not sure if he's able to come off of mute as yet, but we'd love to have both the youngins come in and really, chop it up with our elder and what he has just shared.
Peace,
I'm
brother.
on here, sister. Can y'all hear me?
Peace.
Yes.
Who you want to go first, me or Corey? Or y'all got something
Go ahead, brother Kwame. You
y'all
on?
just touch on? All right, free the land, free mob. Thanks for having me on. Definitely an honor and a blessing to be able to come in and follow up behind that elder. You know what I'm saying? Like I echo the sister Brittany. Just the way that the brother break it down on such an intimate level. Like I always tell people, right now we're in such a unique period and stage within the nation building and the rebuilding process of the movement that will never be in ever again. In the next 10, 15 years, sadly, we're not going to have a lot of these brothers and sisters that was around with Malcolm and them, that was around with Martin, that was around with the Panthers, that was around for the forming of the RNA and the BLA and all this. Like, we're going to have to be reading books about them the way we did with Marcus Garvey and Frederick Douglass and all of them. It was just a thing from the past. Where right now, my generation, I'm 35, and people like Brittany and Corey, and you know what I'm saying, like this is a rarity that we get to work in tangent with these brothers and sisters, like we get to work side by side with Jalil and Jihad, and you know what I'm saying, all them who actually led our struggle during what we call the high tide, at the highest level of resistance that we've seen on these shores over here. And so we're not having to read books or watch documentaries. Like, we're able to learn and grow and study and analyze, you know what I'm saying, the shortcomings and setbacks. Not only do we glorify, you know what I'm saying, and admire what the Panthers and the BLA and the early RNA did, but we also are able, through these brothers and sisters' teachings, for their criticism and self-criticism, and to say, this is where we failed, and this is where you can learn from. You know what I'm saying? This is where the BAL failed, to focus more on cadre development so that they couldn't just cut the head off and the body failed. And that's what they gave us in those New African POW journals and those crosswords in the Vita Wawa too, is, you know what I'm saying, you got Jalil and Yaqui and brothers like that was on the inside, freshly captured, giving us this intimate knowledge and being, you know what I'm saying, there was no egos intact where they can say, you know what I'm saying, this is how y'all move forward, you know what I'm saying, to learn from where we failed at. And so just to also channel what he was saying, like what I'm doing with PLM and where I'm at in my growth and my development as a political prisoner and a revolutionary and a movement builder and a freedom fighter, is that I'm adhering to that specific culture and spirit and ideology that he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? The Jacksonites, you know what I'm saying, what Georgian and did. I feel like where we're at now and where we started to rebuild with Prison Lives Matter is where Comrade George and them brothers was trying to get the movement to. I feel like creating a national coordinating committee for the prison movement and connecting inside, outside, all across the nation. I get mail from Canada, from Amsterdam, and so that lets us know, like, we're doing something right, you know what I'm saying? Like, we continue, you know what I'm saying, the galvanization of what they put forward, right? And so that's what means the most to me, is like knowing that no matter how bad it gets with the repression and the suppression that I go through from the state, I know that it's nothing in comparison to what George and Hugo Cannell and all them went through. Like, they had white supremacists coming and putting bombs in their cell. You know what I'm saying? The sergeants and lieutenants in the joint out in Cali, they were sending these people off, not just physically or not just popping off at the mouth the way they do now with us. They were really having assassination attempts and successful assassinations on their life inside the joint. And then you still got some brothers who've been in solitary confinement for 40 years from that time period. And so I'm like, yeah, I've been down 14 and a half. I did 8 years in a hole, 3 years before that. And people are like, how do you do that? Like, you don't even act like you've got 110 years. Like, you're in the hole. Like, how did you build this movement from the hole? I built it because I got the library that I got. I got the spirit of George. I got the spirit of our ancestors right here with me. You know what I'm saying? And when I'm talking to brothers who've been in solitary confinement longer than I've been alive, based on the work and the resistance that they was doing, I'm like, how can I stop? You know what I'm saying? How can I concede or be like, this has gotten too hard. It's gotten too rough on my family. They sent me to 3 prisons in less than 2 months. Took me out of the system. No phone, no commissary, no visits, no money. But we turned up. Bilal Sunni Ali and the comrades traveled up here and stood outside the DOC building. You know what I'm saying? Like, when Jalil put out the call to action for in the spirit of the Nelson Mandela campaign in 2017, I was the first person to answer on that call in terms of organizing a physical structure and panel up here to introduce that to the rest of the country and make sure that we set that next foot forward, right? And so I say that to say, like, just hearing that brother's words and hearing him, you know what I'm saying, inspired by a new movement of freedom fighters and political prisoners just further lets me know that, and y'all don't even know where I'm at right now mentally or what's going on, where I'm doubting and questioning certain things within the movement, or if we're chasing a ghost. And when I get to be on calls and hear brothers like that and hear that testimony, it just put the jumper cables back on me, and you know what I'm saying, let me know, like, quitting or falling back is not even an option.
Peace.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Free the land, free political prisoners. Shout out to the Spirit of Mandela for hosting us and inviting us to be on this important conversation. Shout out to Baba Ashanti and brother Kwame from Inside for starting this off. I'm Corey, an organizer with Holla, How Our Lives Link All Together. I'm formerly incarcerated. I'm calling in right now from Mississippi. Shout out to Jackson, Mississippi. My family's from Mississippi, New York, Chicago. Holla, particularly adding to this conversation, man, besides my family experiences from Mississippi to Chicago to New York, growing up in the streets in New York, finding myself locked up at a very young age in prison, facing a lot of time, I came in contact with the 1970 prison rights movement, particularly Eddie Ellis, Larry Lukman White, Dr. Green, Kathy Boudin, Judith Clark, Missy Wilkins. And, you know, adding to the conversation, you know, I think Baba, you know, I echo what Brittany was saying and what Brother Kwame was saying, you know, really a pedagogy of spirit. You know, what he's breaking down is a pedagogy of love. And that's right, it's connected to our psychological and spiritual need for institutional memory. And when you see the work that Brother Kwame is doing from inside the walls, people like me who went to prison, not really knowing who I was, not really understanding who I was, and coming in contact with men in prison, women in prison, who didn't stop fighting after they got pushed in prison. So when I say the 1970 prison rights movement, you know, shout out to Black August. I think about, you know, a lot of that built off of Attica in New York, and Attica was built off of Auburn, and Auburn was built off of the taking over of Queens House, Brooklyn House, and the Tombs. And then, you know, we talked about George Jackson and Jonathan Jackson, but all across the country, our community that was pushed into prison by the war continued fighting while they was in prison, continued organizing. And after Attica, when we got shot down for taking a certain kind of political stance, we called the 1970 prison rights movement. We developed other methodologies and other strategies within the prison that was, it might look soft or it might look like it's quiet, but it's that spiritual and that continue and that slow work and that resurrection work to keep our fight going on. And that's what Baba was talking about, the struggle to build Black August, the struggle to stay connected to our communities, to stay connected to our families. And shout out to Eddie, you know, all of our former political prisoners and current political prisoners, because they stayed comrades inside too. They built strategies with inside to stay family with each other. And we was blessed as young people coming into prison to have that kind of love blessed upon us. And that love didn't come without some development and some responsibility. So just want to shout that out, man, that I think about the work that Holla's trying to do with our young people, continuing a legacy of resurrection, of teaching young people in our neighborhoods that are getting attacked by the war, the prison system, the educational system, the healthcare system, drugs in our neighborhoods, families that are broken down and don't got the family structure, right, to develop our young people in a way that's productive for African people in the context that we in. Our work is to support young people and families from those neighborhoods, taking some of these teachings and some of these strategies to build work. And so I say that. One more thing I would say too is I think it's still work to do, thinking about our movement that we built in the prisons in the 60s, early 70s, the 80s, and how the state has responded back to that work. You know, you got Dr. Ori Burton talked about the book, The Long Attica Revolt, Tip of the Spear. And we know there's brothers like Kwame still doing work in prisons, but the state has done a lot of work to separate and dismantle a lot of the work that the 1970 prison rights movement built, former political prisoners, prisoners of war, that stopped our development of people in prison. And the NTA was developed because not only did our elders and community healers like Barbara Ashanti found themselves in prison, they seen that the state was sending our community to prison, whether they was doing political activities or just because the system was criminalizing black people using their laws. So in the 80s, a lot of black people, brown people was coming into the prison system. And the work that these people did in prison, I don't think we did enough analyzing on it, how even though we still in a struggle, it was a buffer. It slowed down a lot of stuff within the prison walls that could have led to a lot of more violence on ourselves. And it sent a lot of people back home on a mission that was useful for our movement, that was useful for our community. So I just want to say that it's also more work that we need to do within the prison, connected to our communities, to continue strengthening the ways that they have taken back some of the wins that we already have won in the system. And I think that's also connected to our institutional memory, so that we don't keep getting caught up in the traps and the mistakes, and also fighting for things that we already won. So I think that's important as well.
And this feels like a part 2, part 3, part 4 is needed. We're really coming up to time, but it's really a beauty just hearing just the generation coming together and just hearing everyone speak powerfully. We really need some closing words. This feels like the knockout round, because we're understanding things that we know, but being able to hear it again and hear it a bit differently is so important. And so, going back to our flow before with our dear Baba Ashanti, we'd love to hear what your closing words are. You just heard from, some of the Corey and Comrade Kwame, and, maybe they have just inspired you a bit more and sent off that light bulb that maybe something didn't come up before. So what's your closing words? And then we'll go around.
Okay. Well, definitely just having Corey and Kwame on, it means a lot, because we knew that, that spirit of rebellion, is there. Even when others don't see it, it's there. And when we think it's all crushed, here they come, right? Here they come out of these prisons. Corey's out. Kwame, we gonna get you out. But that's how this thing works. That spirit cannot be crushed. Bobby U.P. Newton said the spirit of the people is greater than man's technology, and it's true. We got to look to our spirit. We got to look at how the culture nourishes that spirit, and we got to build on that. The connections that we keep making between in the prisons and us outside, we got to keep building on them things there. It's not over. It's not over. And the other thing I want to bring up, because I think it's really important, is you learn from our mistakes, but you also bring new things into the pictures because you meet new challenges. So in terms of who our community is and how to bring our community together, that's a different challenge that you got today. We got a very broad and diverse community. Make sure you're not leaving folks out. Make sure you're not leaving folks out. The fact that you have that understanding of what this liberation struggle entails is important, because this empire got to die. It got to die by our struggles. by our struggle so that we can live and our dreams can come true. So I'm happy that you got those forces like with Kwame and the Pendleton too, and Rashid and all these other folks inside the building. Don't forget the women in prisons. Don't forget the women in the prisons. Don't forget the trans in the prisons, because those are political forces too. We got to figure out a way to keep them connected. So the work that y'all do, Brittany, Sophia, Tags, the work that y'all do becomes really important, and believe me, it's really important. It makes someone like me really believe on concrete terms that we ain't do nothing in vain. We ain't do nothing in vain. We
Love it.
gonna win. We gonna win. And I'll
Yes.
leave that there.
Yes, that's excellent. Thank you. Uh, Brother Corey, your parting words.
We love our elders. We love our ancestors.
Yep.
It was a pleasure to study with Eddie, Larry, Luke, White, Baba Sekou, Mama Day Quee, Mama Espy, Holla, the People Senate, Tone. We want to talk more with our elders. We need to build an elders council. We need to build an intergenerational process where we institutionalize our memories and our relationships. So we're looking forward to continue building, and that's how we love our elders, by honoring their works and finishing their works and remaking their works, adding to their works, building on their mistakes, and learning from their mistakes. So I look for the opportunity to continue that. I think we must continue building with our brothers and sisters inside the wall, and continue uplifting their voices. So shout out to Brother Kwame and all of the people inside. Holla, one of our organizers, are facing some court situation from the state. We was working in Rikers Island, and we was doing some work trying to support young people, and she started getting harassed by the state. They was body shaming her. D. Marissa, one of our main organizers, and she got caught tomorrow trying to fight the state. So if anybody could pull up the court tomorrow, let me see the number before I mess that up. The court is a Zoom tomorrow at 11 a.m. All of the public could come. We can send you more notes. You can hit me up at 347-575-6900 to get more info. The call-in number for tomorrow is 415-527-5035. The access code is 310-270-86#. Right, so we fighting against Rikers Island. They are harassing one of our organizers, and they got a whole bunch of lawyers and stuff pitting her through the process. So anybody that can support tomorrow, come through. Shout out to Eddie Ellis. Shout out to the Bedford Hill Sisters. Shout out to Holla. Shout out to the Resurrection Study Group, and everybody that helped get us here.
Right
Uh, well, thank you for sharing that, and we will be doing our best to get that out there before 11 a.m. and let our other folks know what's happening. Thank you for your words, and we're gonna get to our brother Comrade Kwame. We want to hear your parting words, but we also want to hear more about the decolonization programs and really why are they so significant, and how can folks make sure that prison life matter, that building stays in the right hands in there we go, in Terre Haute. So tell us more.
All right, so with the People's Program for Decolonization building was a building that I purchased at the end of 2022. It's a historically new African-owned building. It started out as the only new African-owned grocery store in the new African community back in like the 40s and 50s. And it was a Black-owned restaurant in the new African motorcycle club. And then when I was a young teen in the early 2000s, it was another new African-owned corner store. And so we've been renovating and redeveloping that for the past 3 years to serve as a central organizing hub for the entire movement. Like that's something that myself and Jalil and Baba Sekou and others had been stressing, is that although this building is located in Indiana, it's not just for NALC or Prison Life Matter or Indiana. Like this is national infrastructure. And to go to the kind of what Brittany was asking about the bravery, and the brother was saying it's not just when we talk about bravery and the courage, it's not just about taking up arms or joining an underground cell. It's not just about that. It's about having the courage to do something like this, to be on the inside and purchase a building and take over land also in that same community and liberate it for the new African Food Co-op to be able to show our people how to grow food and how to develop these decolonization programs when faced with opposition, even from my own family and own community members who are doubting it and telling me that it's not going to work and, you know what I'm saying, it's not going to happen. And still to be able to have the bravery and the strength of my grandfather and people who fought like him to create liberation centers back in the day, to still be able to do that. Because Brittany, you've been up here, what, 2, 3, 4 times, I think. You met my Aunt Peggy. She still don't have the courage and the bravery to be able to speak out and say what she really feels in public because she fears what her job might say or what the neo-colonial house niggas, you know what I'm saying, at her nonprofit.
You have 1 minute remaining.
So it goes to answer that question before I call back to talk about what Sophia was asking. I just want to allude to that, to the bravery is going to come from political education. Like the brother said, you don't come into the movement and automatically want to pick up arms or go put a pipe bomb in the DOC building or something. You start out thinking that Black Lives Matter and the NAACP is cool. You know what I'm saying? And then you realize, oh, no, that's some neo-colonial bullshit. That's some pacification. And you read a little bit more. Now you want to proclaim your nationality. Now you want to actually put boots on the ground and be at these demonstrations and at these events. And so it's through our political education and developing a curriculum that we're going to put people on an evolutionary path to becoming revolutionaries and allowing them to find their role and their place within these decolonization programs, because there's something for everybody.
Thank you for using GTL.
Okay, I'm gonna pull it together because there aren't too many words that would fit how to properly end this after all of what you all have said. I'm deeply grateful for all of the wisdom you all have shared. Uh, Baba, thank you for not making me out to be a lie. Thank you for just being yourself and just saying what needs to be said the way you say it. I'm grateful that I'm not the only one that feels where it's coming from and appreciating the context you give it. I will sit at your feet every single time to just soak up the wisdom every single time. Um, I've been traveling quite a bit, so Rhode Island is, it's on the way. Got some tickets to pay, but I'll be there. I
Okay.
deeply and true. Okay. And also thank you, Brother Kwame, for everything you said. Um, I don't know about anybody else, and I'm rocking my PLM shirt right now. I rock it every chance I get when I'm on camera, and just being a voice and an extension for political prisoners, prisoners of war, and politicized prisoners, because prison lives do matter, and they always have. what has happened to our folks that have ended up behind the wall from the government putting drugs in our neighborhoods and trapping our folks to be able to put them in jail for doing shit that they are still doing to this very damn day. I continue to want to figure out how to bring everyone home because we aren't the ones that should be behind the wall. Our folks should be home, and everyone that considers themselves to be a selected official of running this world right into the ground should be the ones getting this very same experience that they just are hell-bent on pressing upon Black, New African, Brown, Latinx, and Indigenous folks. So I will not go on that tangent because it'll go somewhere else. Once more on Bro Kwame, I am personally inspired. And
Uh-oh.
your strength and your bravery every chance I get when I do get to speak about you. I don't know how you do it. I really don't know how you do it. And we are going to bring you home, like Baba said. We are going to do everything we possibly can because, pigs just cannot help themselves but to be pigs. And, when you got to besmirch and make up your own ways to keep someone behind the wall, that's when you should know you're doing something that you ain't supposed to be doing. Um, so we will continue to bring you on these platforms to share what has happened in your case as much as possible because the people need to know
Yeah.
what the quote unquote government does to people when
Mm.
you are living this experience, this one life to live type experience, and you mess up as a youth and they just don't give you another chance to figure it out as a person, but they get to get it wrong every single chance they get. So whatever. Like I said, I won't go off on a tangent. I know we got to get off of here, but I
Yeah.
also want to thank Bro Corey and Hala, how our lives all link together. The work y'all are doing with the youth, again, is deeply inspiring because let me tell you, I have no idea how to connect with children. My 10-year-old niece makes me feel like an 80-year-old woman. So I are
Frozen.
doing, and
Oh,
we will the people the spirit we will be who's frozen?
Yeah, the
Who
connection is it's choppy. You know what? I'll take over from here. The connection is choppy a bit, sis.
oh
Okay, we hear you now.
you're good.
Yeah, yeah, that's.
Oh,
But I think
I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
no, it's all good. It's I want you to finish your thought, and then we'll just. I think we have brother comrade Kwame back on.
No, do y'all think? Because
Yeah, I'm on here.
of course I can't tell when
Okay,
I'm breaking up. So yeah,
all
no,
right.
take it from here, Bro Kwame.
Yeah, we'll
All
just
right.
love to
So,
hear how we can, more word on how we can send funds to keep the building going. Yeah, brother Kwame.
all right. So with I was talking about the People's Program for Decolonization building. So for the past, couple years, we've been having the cadre and the comrades coming from New York and Philly and California, coming down here and seeing what we're doing and helping us, and also seeing how we're doing it with the food co-op and the garden and being inspired by that to be able to go back and start these in the Bronx and in Philly and other places where we're all at. And so that's why it's so important that we all come together to be able to preserve this and make sure that we don't lose this to the hands of the state. So what's going on right now? We are probably going to end up losing 2/3 of the food co-op next month unless we can get comrades and cadre from the food sovereignty cause and the movement to be able to come up here and help demonstrate and put pressure on the mayor and them But right now, I really don't got the energy or the time to do that part. So what's going on with that is the food co-op is 3 parcels of land where 3 houses used to be. I purchased one. The other one is where I grew up and where I lived, and it's been in my family. It's right now, the land is in my great-great-grandmother's name. And then the third piece of land is in my cousin's name, which he passed over to me once he seen we was doing the work. But my family stopped paying the taxes on this land in the 90s, like a lot of people do. A lot of people in the hood, we can't even afford to pay our health insurance, our car insurance, or our bills, and we're broke before we get our next check every 2 weeks because of the capitalist exploitation and that never-ending cycle that they have us in. So to be able to dish out another few hundred twice a year for land that we already own, that we already bought, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is colonialism. Like, this in itself is a form of social and cultural genocide and land and institutional gentrification, to where now they're coming and taking this land that's been owed on in the community, and they're giving it to development companies, and then also giving them the funds to build on the land, just so simply taxes can be reinstated, and now then people will have to start paying property taxes on that land, right? But more importantly, to what can for sure be done and be saved is the building right around the corner. We owe, I think it's like $4,000 that we have to pay by September 15th, where they're going to put it into a tax sale. And after we can come together and do this, we won't have to worry about it again, because we're going to put the building into a faith-based trust or the nonprofit, to where we won't have to pay these taxes to the government again. But Jalil and his wife Val, they're working on the fundraiser platform tonight, actually, and so we should be having that up in the next couple of days. Jericho and Jalil have already pledged $1,000. Sunday night on the PLM call, Bro Shep pledged another $1,000. And so once we get this fundraiser up, I think that if I'm not mistaken, he's not just putting the fundraiser up for how to save the building through these taxes, but also for a continuous donation so that we can get the rest of the renovation done and have our multimedia room together, have the after school programs, and be able to have that community library so we can have these study groups and all that going. So right now, like I said, we're just waiting. Everybody on this listening is in tune with our email chains and social media, so y'all will be able to know when the platform officially drops this week and how y'all can donate funds. But if somebody is just trying to do something on a Cash App level or something like that, then y'all can reach out to Bree and, you know what I'm saying, shoot whatever y'all want to shoot. It'll definitely be appreciated, and as you know, going towards a great cause, because we don't have a lot of physical infrastructure around the country right now. That's one thing that the Panthers and the Nation of Islam and the RNA had back in the day. Even our street tribes, we had headquarters and chapter houses and re-entry houses all across the nation. You might be from Cali and be out there developing cadre and doing the Free Beckers program or underground cell. But if you're needed in Harlem or in Bronx to come up there and help develop that chapter and help develop cadre, then you were sliding up there. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we're lacking right now, is we don't have physical infrastructure. We don't have cadre, and we're losing a lot of brothers and sisters coming out of these joints where I might spend 2-3 years developing somebody. But when they step out there to the streets, if there's no physical, tangible structure for the movement, for this new mindset that they developed, they're going to go back to what they do know, because there is a trap spot. There is a dope spot right there on the block, and they are willing to hand out something to put in their hands that's going to help them out physically, you know what I'm saying, in that moment. And so we got to make sure that we're combating that, and that comes through the implementation of these physical structures. And it can't be overstressed, to go back to what Sophia was asking of why these decolonization programs are so important. I don't know how much time we got, but if we have to understand what decolonization is and the role that it plays and where we're at right now. If you're just looking at decolonization in the basic narrow Webster's dictionary sense of separating from this colonial system, then that means that we're still looking at colonialism in a narrow, shallow sense of that we were physically captured and held captive over here. No, we're being colonized and neo-colonized on the educational, economical, political, spiritual, cultural, agricultural level. We're not in control on none of them levels. We have an umbilical cord to the system on all of them spheres that I just named. So therefore, we're talking about decolonization and decolonization programs. It's not just separating physically. They could literally give us the whole 5 states in the South, or they could give us an island to move to. But if we're not decolonizing on a spiritual, cultural, and an educational and a mental level, we would be on that land still with an American colonial mentality, still with a selfish me, a capitalist material mindset, right? And so what the decolonization programs through Frolinon, the Front for the Liberation of the New African Nation, what they do is it's basically the foundation and the pillars for our nation. The way that the United States and the White House has the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of Education, the Secretary of this and that, that's what our decolonization programs are. We have something for every person for these 10 decolonization programs. Whatever it is that you do, whatever your skills are within the movement, there's something for you to do and help build up and find your place and your role within this movement, right? And that's a part of that bravery. That's what that looks like. It's deepening your education and elevating your consciousness and your revolutionary mentality so that you can know what your true role is in this movement, right? Because me and Tag was on a call earlier in preparation for this call and talking about what is the core issue that's got us stagnant right now. To me and to others who are operating as cadre, we know that the problem is that there is no cadre development. People are coming into the movement right now and they're just able to join. They're just able to come in and immediately start showing up at events and getting on Zoom calls. And so they never had political education on what organizational structure is, why it's important to understand how to apply criticism and self-criticism to be able to move forward, why it's important to have accountability, to be able to show up, why your word means something. You know what I'm saying? When we're having these PLM calls and the Spirit of Mandela calls, and we're talking about our committees and people are joining committees, these are the foundation of our nation and the movement, how we're going to move forward. A financial committee, a social media committee, an outreach committee, all these are in opposition to the structures that the establishment has. So when we're not following through with these things, and then nobody even sees a problem with it, and we're not calling these people out, as Mama Day said on Sunday, like, this is liberalism. We're allowing it to go on. We're not combating it. And why? Because for the most part, we don't even know that it's going on because we were not introduced to cadre development, to what a political line is, to how do we maintain that line. Why is it important that we keep minutes of these calls? Why is it important that, you know what I'm saying, that somebody comes in and there's a vetting process? None of this is going on. And so therefore we're falling short. We're not adhering to the ideology and the legacy and the teachings that we're claiming to be a part of. And also for a lot of the elders and the people who did this at the highest level, it seems like some of them are also forgetting these steps because we've already did it. We're already cadre. But we're talking about developing a People's Senate. We're talking about overthrowing capitalism. We're talking about abolishing prisons. How is that going to happen if we don't even know how to feed ourselves or how to host a political education study group yet? All right. And so I'll yield with that. I hope that, you know what I'm saying, that can sit with one. And, you know what I'm saying, when we get off of this call, you're in the car, or you're laying down at night, or you're chilling and glowing, whatever, that you can reflect on these words, and you know what I'm saying, it might be something that you're doing, you know what I'm saying, or that somebody who we know is doing. We got to start holding ourselves and holding them accountable, and we got to get serious with this cadre development. We're going to continue to have these conversations for the next 40 years, and we're going to continue to bump our heads. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, 100%, Comrade Kwame. This was really a very mind-blowing conversation, and we can't thank you all enough for just being present with us, for just being so clear and so honest. I feel like we have to have some kind of part two on a future episode because there's just so much here, and we'd love to, you guys are always welcome to the show. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being here tonight and dropping those gems. And, we're grateful. So, we say free 'em all. Before we close out the rest of the show, let's just say free 'em all.
Free them
Free 'em
all.
all.
Free 'em all.
Free them all. Free
Free
them
'em
all. Free
all.
the land.
And
I don't know if we're done. I don't know if we're done recording or not, but Corey left already. Damn. I wanted to ask him about a webinar for the paper they wrote. But yeah, I'll just text him.
we're definitely still here for sure. We're just gonna get into some quick announcements. As we know that we always end this great show with some announcements, and one of the major announcement that we have, as maybe everyone has seen maybe by now, is that our brother Mumia Abu Jamal is really in a dire situation with his eyesight. And I'm just gonna look at some stuff because even though I'm in the throes of it, I'm just kind of overwhelmed at the moment. But yeah, he's having some serious eyesight issues that the prison has been more than aware about and not doing enough or anything about other than evaluations after evaluations, as he has said. And so he's experiencing irreversible vision loss that can become permanent if not treated immediately. So we're asking folks to really call the prison superintendent, and we have some email numbers here. But we can put this flyer out, but we're asking folks to call these numbers to demand that the prison do what's right by him, give him the treatment that he needs, and also give him this treatment immediately. He's suffering with vision loss, which is easily treatable, but we need this to be done right now. So people should look out for a press conference that's going to happen on this Friday in the evening time, and we're gonna have his chosen doctor, Dr. Ricardo Alvarez, and a couple other speakers to really speak on this and to rally up the troops and the crowd and everyone who supports and loves Mumia to do what's right by him. So be on the lookout for that. Again, we have a script, we have a flyer where people can look at. So we'll continue to post that at Bring Mumia Home on the IG, and we're also at Bring Mumia Home on the, what is it, Twitter, X, what have you. So be in touch with us, or people can email us at bringmumiahome@gmail.com, and mobilization for mumia.com and freemumia.com. So there's many, many, many places to get in touch with us, but we'll have those information out and send that press conference info out and where people can register so that he can get this treatment immediately. So we're gonna have an amazing closeout video on our dear sister Sophia Bukhari, who transitioned a while now, but her birthday was just on the 24th, I believe. So we have a very special video in which, the powerful sister that she was speaking in advocation for Mumia. So we have that video coming to close us out. But real quick, we do have two other announcements. We have some letter writings that are taking place this weekend. I believe one in the BX and another in Brooklyn. So we have that coming up. We can get those information out, but please, 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 however folks can chime in with us at about the at ATP about the people. That's our Instagram handle, ATP about the people. Please look out on that page because you'll see the flyers and you'll get more information. So come out and support our political prisoners, our prisoners of war that has struggled for us. It's time that we continue to struggle for them. But most of all, a welcoming letter is always important. So that's Friday and Saturday. And again, thank you, Brother Ashanti, for just being here with us tonight and sticking around till the very end. We're so grateful for you, and we'll have to have you back on again. And that's where I leave it. We'll close to the video, closing that video.
Thank you. I love you back. Love you back.
Yes, yes.
Right on.
Brothers and sisters, I'd like to introduce Brother Sophia. Sister Sophia. Coalition to Save Brother Mumia Abu Jamal. Black Panther Party member. A sister who has spent time behind the walls and is now out here fighting to release the brothers and sisters who are still behind those walls. Sister Sophia.
Whatever else. On Monday, when I heard about the stay of execution, I was in Cuba. I was in Cuba, where the people are struggling, and behind us 100% in the struggle to free Mumia Abu Jamal. About is whether or not that we recognize the fact that we haven't freed Mumia. This is just a temporary victory that can go away at any time if we forget to carry on the work of getting a new trial and freeing Mumia Abu Jamal. I'm glad to see all of you out there. And I'm glad to see the exuberance of the work that's being done and the far-reachingness of the coalition and the unity around this issue. But I want to say that this system is diabolical. Mumia is still in Judge Sabo's courtroom. And as long as he's in Judge Sabo's courtroom, Judge Sabo can take back that stay anytime he wants to take it back. We have to be cognizant of the fact that we have not won this war yet. That we have a reprieve. We have a reprieve that we have to be very aware of, that the 16th, the 17th has not passed. That there's a warrant out there with Mumia's name on it that says execution on the 17th of August. And until the 17th pass, that warrant can still be put into effect. We have to be clear on this. We have not won yet. We have not passed the 17th of August. We cannot lay down our homes. We cannot go back in our bedrooms and sleep soundly. We cannot stop the vigilance. We have to be very astute. We have to understand that this system does not want Mumia on the street. We have a break so that we can look at it and we can continue to push forth the issue. We can still go out there and educate the people. We have to still go out there and make the politicians accountable. We have to still go out there and make the people in the boardrooms accountable. We have to put in place that economic boycott and hit them where it hurts, in their pockets. We have to make sure they understand that we are not appeased by a state, that we understand that until Mumia is home out here with us on the street, carrying on the work of organizing, that we have not won the war. We have to understand that this is just a preclusion position. We have to recognize the fact that when the NABJA had their conference on August 16th, it's still the day before August 17th. We cannot let them stop. We cannot let up the work. We cannot be pacified by a state. We have to get a new trial. So the struggle has to continue. We cannot forget the fact that August 17th is still about there in the back. And Sabo is still the hanging judge. We